Show is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965. Este episodio de The Rick H. Show es traído a ustedes por McDonald's. McDonald's es más que un lugar de comida sabrosa. Es un lugar donde la gente conecta. Growing up in Washington Heights, after softball games on Saturdays, or after school, after the park, we usually went to McDonald's. And I went there for the good times with my friends and the conversations. Usually, you work up an appetite after softball. So the number one Big Mac meal, medium with fries, that always hit the spot for me. McDonald's always brings back fond memories for me. McDonald's. Me encanta. McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Hey.
Welcome to the Rick H. Show, ladies and gentlemen.
What up, y'all?
Hey. How are you?
So, Javier, how was my Spanish?
Excellent.
You sure about that?
Excellent.
Okay.
I think it's...
You didn't ask me.
You didn't let me get there. So, my co-host Jasmine Ruiz is here. I almost forgot your last name, Jasmine. I'm so sorry.
You're gonna have to fight, Rick.
Stephanie Kalanoff is here as well. Wow, you got a really.
No, I feel.
That was Javier Meneses is here, and Pedro is here.
We live. We out here.
Before it allowed me to realign my thing. This is not how I want it. Hold on one second. Let me just everybody's gonna get so confused right now. There we go. How does that look?
That's good.
Welcome to the Rick H. Show, everybody. Pedro, how you doing? How's everything?
I'm doing good, great.
So Pedro, this is Stephanie Kalanoff.
Hey, Pedro.
She is a fellow realtor. And then Javier Meneses is a lender. So we have two realtors and a lender on for today. So welcome to the show. If you are looking to buy a home, or if you're curious how the process goes and you want to know those FBI, CIA secrets, today we're going to give you some of those. Okay. So first, let's talk about people's credentials. So let's start with Stephanie Kalanoff. Who is Stephanie Kalanoff?
I'm wondering myself. Actually, I've been selling real estate for 36 years, and I'm only 37.
Oh, so, wow. You started at 1. That's good.
I want you to all make sure you're all on the same page. I actually started 18 years old, and my mom was the one who got me involved in real estate. And I have to say, after all these years, I still love it. It really is. Helping people find their dream homes is really quite exciting.
Oh,
thank you. And we'll get into the story of where I am recording right now. Stephanie's very familiar with this area. Pedro,
how's it going?
Pedro, who is Pedro Jimeno? Besides from the TV personality person, Pedro has found his passion. Pedro, how's it going? How's everything?
How's it going? What's going great? And guys, I've been, I get my real estate license like a year ago. So, I've been learning, hustling, and help people, to complete her dream. They have the house.
So, Steph normally does Long Island, Pedro does Georgia, but that doesn't matter. We're gonna give you all the details of everything. Javier Meneses, that's the money guy. Like, this is the mortgage and all that stuff. So, Javier. Do I have
I'm gonna do the sound effects with my mouth because I don't got the button. Is this a school bus? We on trip?
Javier, give us a little bit of your background and what it is that you do.
So I'm a loan officer. I provide the money for families looking to purchase homes, pretty much in the New York metro area. Right in Long Island where Stephanie is, and I've been at it since 2006.
Hey.
Wow. So let's get started, right? So my lovely co-host Jasmine Ruiz, I think she wants to purchase a home, right?
Cool.
Talk to me. Yeah.
What would be the first step? And let's go with we'll start with Javier. What would be her first step?
So first step is always the pre-approval, and what that looks like is, for me, actually, I try to make that an in-person meeting, or at least a virtual meeting, kind of the way we're connecting right now. And we just go over financials. We go over your income. We go over your credit, your assets, your overall financial situation, and we discuss your goals, what you're looking to get into, and just figure out exactly what options you have as far as financing and break down all the numbers from there, pretty much.
Got you. So you go give the whole money rundown to figure out what our options are.
Yeah. So eventually you'll end up with Pedro or Stephanie to go shop for a house, and they'll want what's called a pre-approval letter. So how much do you qualify for, with what type of taxes? And that really serves as a guide to the realtor to help you locate a property in the areas that you're interested in within that budget that you and the bank determined, pretty much.
Got you. So like someone like me, I got my eyes on these $5 million brownstones in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Like, what? I'm that serious, I gotta save them as Zillow. Don't play with me. If someone wanted to get pre-approved for a $5 million home, what would that look like? And this is 100% the bougie side of me asking.
Well, I mean, so it would really just look, regardless of what price point you're looking to qualify for, it looks the same. It's just overall covering your financial situation, you and your family, whoever's going to go on the loan, and figuring out what loan options you have as far as programs, and from there we kind of turn it into actual rates that apply to your situation, closing costs. You get an idea of your payment. So the process in itself looks the same regardless of what budget you're going for, I would say.
Okay,
So
cool.
I want the audience to keep in mind this. Obviously, the situation varies with your financial situation, what you can afford, how much money you have on hand.
What's your income, how much debt you might have.
Everything varies, right? So we're just gonna take Jasmine right here. She is making, let's say, 110,000 a year, and she's got 80,000 saved up. 50 she got from her little side hustle, and then the rest came from Abuelita, gave it to her. So as a gift, Pedro. So she gets approved, let's say, for 550 in Georgia. What can we get for 550? Where do we start from there? And then we'll see what 550 gets us in Long Island. So Jasmine wants a house, Pedro. She got the pre-approval. Viene donde ti. Medio millón. ¿Qué puedo hacer con ese medio millón?
We had the million, man. Like, had the million, Georgia. That's a lot of money for the house, because with that kind of money here in Georgia, I can put you in the best theater school. Yeah. We talking about the school, they're gonna be like a 9, 9, and 8. The best theater school. I can give you like 6 bedrooms.
Wow.
6 bedroom, basement.
Do I get a pool?
You can get a pool. Yeah, that's for sure. For half a million here in Georgia, you can shoot at the pool. Because right now, that's what a lot of people have been doing right now. They've been selling houses, and then the could stay. Let's say they sell the houses over there in New York, okay? And with that money they make from the house, they move to Georgia, and they got bigger house, better quality of life, and better quality of school for the kid. Because they're looking for improve her life. One way or the other one, and that's what we've been doing. Like people coming to the state, coming to Georgia, coming from California. A lot of people move to California here, and they sell the house over there, coming here, and for half the million easy, they can get the house, the forever house, let's say.
Okay, so Pedro, let's say she doesn't have any children, $500,000 house ready. She's coming from New York, moving down to Georgia. What is something she should have in mind when she comes to you? Should she have an idea of what specifically she wants? After Pedro's done, I'm gonna ask the same question to Stephanie, because I feel this is very important. You should know what you're looking for. What are must-haves? So what you think she should be looking for at that point?
At that point, let's say, between New York and Georgia, the difference between about Georgia is that everything's a little far away. Let's say, it's not in New York, everything, it's like a block away. Let's say, restaurants, shopping center. That's nearby. In Georgia, if you from Georgia, you want to get a car because you want to get move around corner to corner. It's like it's a little far. Everything is a little far away over here. That's the first thing that you consider move to Georgia because it's not public, like public transportation.
Okay.
It's a little bit awful.
Mhm.
But if you have a car, you can move anything around Georgia.
Okay, so Steph, she decides not to move to Georgia. She's like, Pedro's trying to get me in a 6-bedroom house. That's too big for me. It's just me by myself. Long Island looks like a better fit for me. And I got Javier here in Long Island. So Javier, what should I bring to the table, Stephanie?
Well, actually, you could get a shed for that amount.
With bullet holes and a bulletproof vest.
Got you.
It's a crazy market here. Funny, Pedro mentioned about Georgia. I actually just placed 3 clients of mine from New York to Georgia, and I just reached out to them this week, and I said to them, how you guys loving it there? They're like, we love it here, but everything is so far away. So, it's just, they're so used to New York, going to get milk, it's around the corner. They said that it's not as plentiful as far as, shopping, but they love the atmosphere. They love the feel of Georgia. And, a lot of people are moving out of New York to get a different lifestyle. So I'm actually going to be calling Pedro to move to Georgia because it's fun. Really. But here in New York, even though it sounds so crazy, the average house at 550, you might get a 3-bedroom,
Wow.
1.5 bath, 2 bathrooms. It really varies from town to town what you can get, but some towns you wouldn't even be able to find a house for 550.
She's trying to move into Smithtown specifically.
Oh, is that right, Jasmine? That's my hometown. So, it really depends on your needs. I mean, are you looking for a big colonial that, is all redone? Because that type of home would probably be 750.
Got you.
So, like, when we get you into a smaller ranch, a split, probably so, and we have to look at the taxes. It has to make sense. Obviously, Javier can, run numbers to know if it's going to make sense payment-wise for you as well.
What do I need for the 6-bedroom Georgia home in New York? Because that's honestly, I'm going for no less than that vibe. You know what I'm saying? I might even need 8 bedrooms for my 5 children, for my dance studio, and for my office.
I would say, how much money does Abuelita have exactly?
Yeah.
Abuelita, she got, an arm and a leg for me.
Good, you're gonna need it.
Okay.
So let's say this. She says, "Oh my God, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going back to Georgia. Pedro's offered me. I get more property for my money. Right? That's something people try to look for. And she wants to make an offer on the house. What does that look like? What does that entail? Let's go with Pedro and then Steph, and then obviously we got to talk to Javier if we're gonna put an offer on the house. So Pedro, we got the house. This is the house. What should she do?
Different with this, get in contact with the agent, like see how the property, see how many offers the agent have in their hand right now, cuánta oferta tienen ellos ahora mismo, quién está buscando y qué se les quiere. Because, you have to know, the seller wants something from the seller. The seller is put the line, I like to talk to the agents and, get a conclusion with them. First, I give you a verbal offer. I say, I want to offer like 550, 3-day due diligence. We can do appraisal gap just in case the house was appraised, because right now the market is very competitive. Because that I say, people moving to the state to Georgia, and those people have a lot of power of money. They have power of money because people here in Georgia don't have it, and they have, that advantage from other for the buyer. And the point is, like, get in contact with the agent, explain everything, try to make a deal and try to, darle la labia, darle la cotorra a la gente.
I'm gonna translate. So he's charm. So that's something Stephanie uses. So he said it in Spanish. Darle la labia to us means like charm the seller's agent. So yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. this is the point, like, and sometimes, it's not about how much money the client has, it's about how determine all the offer. If I gave you no diligence, or give you right to inspect, I give you like, let's say 10,000 appraisal gap, like those things, make you offer different from the other offer.
Okay, so we're at the offer, Steph. Let's say we found the house in New York at 550, which is impossible. And you're doing the same thing Pedro is. You're talking to the seller's agent. What kind of competitive offer realistically you think? Because Pedro mentioned the different things you can do to make your offer stand out. In your mind, what are some things that people might think about that they should do, and some no-nos?
Oh, well, the first thing we should do is have you do a little introduction. For me, how I got Rick's offer accepted was, first of all, we made a phenomenal rapport with the listing agent at the open house. I mean, we schmoozed them to no end, and they really fell in love with the family. And when we wanted to stand out, because there were 38 offers on the house that he was making an offer on. So Rick did a nice little video introduction to me, about me, I should say. And then I sent a little video on top of that, telling the agent how much, we love the house and how great it would be, that we would make it very smooth for him. And it actually put us ahead because we really stood out. And you really have to these days. You want to make the best rapport with the homeowners while you're there, or the agents. So they want to work with people that they like, and it is so competitive. So you do have to have a strong offer. Listen, Rick, you had a great terms and conditions. You offered a fair price. You were not the highest offer, but there were other things great about what you would bring to the table that made you stand out. So that's really, every deal is going to be different. And some people, it's not always about the money for the homeowners.
Okay.
Sometimes it's
Interesting.
a connection that you make. And especially with like people who have been in their homes for so many years, they want to know someone's coming in there and is going to love it as much as they did. They don't want to hear like, oh, I have to change the carpeting, I have to do that. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear, oh my God, I love your home. I love the opportunity to raise my family here. So that goes a long way.
Yeah.
So really quickly, so when you say it's not all about the money, that just sounds so crazy to me, because we live in America. It's always about the money. But you're saying like people really do buy and sell almost with their hearts, with their emotions, because
Not
they
everyone.
want to feel good about
Absolutely. You're going to get those who don't care and they're all about the money. It's just going to happen. But then you get a family that really wants someone that they feel like is going to take care of their home. They want that connection. So I'm going to say it could go either way. Really.
It's also, I think, is a trust factor, right? You want to pick an offer that's going to go through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not going to, because it's a long process. We haven't even talked to Javier yet. That's how long this process is. So Jazz made the offer, right? Pedro pitched his offer to Georgia. Steph did it here in Smithtown. And now we got to speak to Javier. Right? Javier, what does that look like?
So sometimes I do get, and often I get involved at the point of the offer being submitted. So Pedro and Stephanie pretty much explained to you guys how competitive the market is, and it's pretty much all hands on deck, right? So if you're submitting an offer for the first time and Stephanie says, hey, listen, we just submitted this offer, I'm going to take that opportunity to reach out to the listing agent as well. In fact, Stephanie will mention there's times where the relationships are important, right? If I speak to a listing agent I've never dealt with or don't have any rapport with, but I know Stephanie knows her, I've dropped her name in the past. And I'm sure Stephanie can confirm that. So it really is about building that connection. And like you said, building trust, right? If the seller's agent gets a strong feeling that this deal is coming from solid people, from a solid lender, a solid realtor, and it's a serious offer, they're going to pass that on to the seller, and it's going to just make them feel different about your offer, even if it is a little under the highest bid, right? Sometimes they want to make sure they go with a short thing, not just the highest number.
Exactly.
So So I do a lot of that. I reach out to the listing agents. I've gotten on three-way calls with the listing agents and their sellers to articulate just how strong of a pre-approval they have with me. I let them know the process that the buyer went through. They drove from Queens all the way to my office with all their family and paperwork. We met for an hour. We checked everything. So those little details are important. So once your offer is accepted and you're moving forward to contracts, we pretty much move forward with the mortgage application from there. I'm not sure if you want to.
I have a quick question. You
Go
said, you want everything to be smooth and make sure the offer goes through. So
Sure.
what does that mean in terms of go through? Like, what would make an offer like fall out if you've already offered?
Let's table that question because there's still a few things, more hoops we have to jump before, because that's a very good question, and it's something we have to ask. So Javier, you have your pre-approval, you made the offer. So I'm gonna tell you this. They listen to all the offers. They usually, Steph is great. She speaks to the selling agent. I'm sure Pedro does the same thing. When are they looking to make a decision by, right? That's a big thing to know. So for me personally, because I'm going to use my personal experience, I think it was 3 days. So for 3 days, I was sweating, not sleeping, nervous, crying. Every time I saw Steph's name on my wife's phone, because she was the one, she knew not to contact me. I get emotional. I start crying at things like this. I'm competitive. I want to win. And I know couples that have put in bids on houses and don't get it. So I was trying to keep my expectations low, but again, I couldn't sleep. I was very nervous. So when they take the offer, so let's say, Pedro, you got the offer. They call you. We're accepting this offer. Steph, the same thing. We're accepting this offer. What goes next for you guys at that point?
For the next point, like I call, I call the buyer, let them know the offer was accepted. It's right that we go to diligence period. This is the period that we're going to take to check the house, inspect the house. Everything's gonna be right with the house because they can set the offer, but right now the buyer I send our own inspector, go to see the house and make sure the HVAC is functionally, the roof is okay. It's not a problem with the foundation because most of the time, this is the biggest purchase for anybody else. Buy a house is an easier process. But when you get the offer accepted right now, we have to inspect the house, make sure they have termite, make sure the house, everything is right with the house, no electrical problems, everything's working, everything's great, the plumbing is good, it's a process. And after that, you going when you got your report back from the inspector, you go call, the seller agent and say, look, this is coming off of the house. We need to repair the HVAC. We need to face the roof, the windows. They're not insulated no more. And they coming, the back and forth between two agents, like my seller, my buyer wants like, let's say 5,000 and costing close, the seller no want to give, and right now it's a really hard decision between two parties to agree in something. Because you accept my offer, of course, but right now we need to talk about because I want the house ready fits because I want to go in and I want to spend no money in the house because I want to, como se dice, key turn, just only ready to move in. And after that, after
turnkey, you kind of want like as best as possible a turnkey type of house. So, Pedro mentioned when you're putting in offers, some people like to forego the inspection. Javier, Steph, is that a big no-no?
I don't encourage anyone to forego a home inspection. I feel everyone has the right to know what they're getting involved in. I mean, they're not buying a $5 shirt they could put in the back of the closet. Spending a lot of money on a home that they should really have the information. But here's what happened the last few years, that it was so competitive that all my clients had home inspections. I really felt that it was important for them to do it, but it was for informational purposes only. So if things came up that needed to be done, it kind of is just for their knowledge for the future. A lot of times if they went back and asked for the homeowner to fix things, they'd say, take care, because we have 400 other people who want our home. So it really, generally here, it's that the roof has to be free of leaks, electric and plumbing up to code, and bug free. So generally, if there was something of major, sometimes we could work it out. But if they're going to start coming in and nitpicking that, the door on the handle on the door is loose, that we're going to tell them to take a hike.
There's a missing light bulb.
Right, exactly.
Small things.
But with that being said, the market is changing a little bit, and now I'm seeing that people are, more people want to have home inspections, and they might be a little more picky because now they're spending, a little extra money with their rates, and so they might. But again, it really depends on the house, and if they want it bad enough, they take it and do what they have to do at, when they move in.
So why would someone forego a home inspection?
Good question. I'll go ahead.
Should I go?
Get it.
Sorry.
Who wants to answer that? Pedro, you want to answer that?
Why somebody want to go to home inspection?
Forgo, like not.
Why would they say no?
No quieren hacer la inspección para que le cojan su oferta.
And then it's between the client. If you really want the house, you can say no, I don't want a home inspection. See to the diligence, let's go to the closing table. But even that who want a home inspection, do it because it's.
But why not? Why wouldn't someone, like in the past from you guys' experience?
I always
go ahead, Pedro.
Every client they have, I always tell them that we need to do a home inspection because we don't want to know. I want to. First, that's the care me because I don't want to, sell houses because I want to sell houses. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this because it's not the house. It's not, just only sell it, no diligence, no nothing. Just go get it. That's it. I don't want to do that. I try to tell the clients at the time, these are big purchases. Make sure that everything's okay. Make sure that everything's all right because I don't want you call me after closing and say, oh my God, the roof is leaking. You know what I mean? The agent, we take that, oh my God, the HVAC doesn't work. They call, you know what I mean? That's what I say all the time. The home inspection has to be done. Make sure that you know what you purchase it because, and then you're going to marry the house. You can date the interest, but you to marry the house. You want to stay there.
I like that analogy there, Pedro. Javier, why would a seller want to forego a buyer? I'm sorry, excuse me. Forego an inspection.
So the truth is just to be more competitive. So you may have a scenario in your situation when you bought your place. There might have been 40 offers. They're going to not only look at who is offering the most money, but they know that when especially first-time home buyers do a home inspection, they tend to nitpick on, just pick on minor things that really aren't that important to the seller. So if you're offering or you're one of the highest offers and you're saying, hey, I'm not going to do an inspection, I know that I have less of a risk in a few days of you falling out and not going into contract because you got spooked away at something from the report. So it just makes you a little more competitive to the seller to just forego it. I would say the way Stephanie explained it is a very good, important point because a lot of people feel like, or at least a lot of even realtors felt like if we forego a home inspection, you're going to be more competitive, and they left that at that. But you can do it for informational purposes only so that in case there is something really alarming, you can still back out altogether. But at the same time, you're communicating to the seller that, hey, whatever comes up, it's just for my knowledge, just for us to know what's going on with the house, etc. Is that pretty much
that answer? Thank you.
Actually, on listings that I've had where I'm representing the seller and I've had multiple offers on a property, I never chose an offer or had my clients choose an offer based on a buyer not doing a home inspection. I always felt like they have a right to do that.
Yeah.
And, as long as everyone is workable, and I think for the consumer today, everyone, it should be fair. Really, they should have the opportunity to make a good decision and not be sick about it when they move in and find out there's major issues. So generally, I really tell my clients, let's go with the terms and conditions as far as that they're qualified, they have good credit and all those things that would be more important than worrying about a home inspection.
I mean, that's been part of the problem the last couple of years. It's just the market. There's just so little homes out there for home buyers, and not every realtor practices that way. A lot of realtors are just kind of like, hey, let me just get whatever we can get for my seller, and the rest is your problem. And that's the spirit behind the market the past couple of years. And that's the reason why you've seen people who bought homes without inspections, or like Pedro said, offer 10 or 15 or 20 grand above appraised value, things of that nature. That's really what was driven that.
I'm interested. I'm curious. Kerry, Pedro, I know you've gotten homes for your clients. Have you also sold real estate?
Yeah, I also sold real estate.
Yeah. So do you also, like Stephanie was talking about, when she's the agent for the seller, does that matter to you when you're looking at the offers?
Yeah, that's matter to everybody. That's matter because in the end, even for the seller,
Yeah.
they have to. It's good because you say, I don't want to do an inspection. Let's go to the table. We want to skip. We want to skip a process. Gonna be better for everybody. But most of the time, here in Georgia, we all the time, most of the time, we qualify for the inspection.
Okay, so let's. I'm gonna go, Stephanie. Stephanie. Wow, Jasmine is our buyer here in this situation. So Jasmine has decided to go through with the inspection. She paid top dollar for the inspection because that's.
I gotta pay for the inspection.
That's right.
Yep. So
it's worth every penny.
I think we should go over what goes in an offer, right? So in the offer, what you're going to pay for the house in its entirety, right? Mm-hmm. What you're putting down at signing, if like when you're signing the contract.
When you get binding.
Mm-hmm. If you're foregoing the inspection or not. There's little stipulations you could put in there to make your offer enticing.
Appraisal shortage.
Yes.
Yeah, appraisal gap.
What you put down in signing, if you put a bigger number at signing, sometimes that'll help the sellers. Okay, these guys are serious about it. That's actually, I feel, the best way, the best tactic to go about it. If you have the money and you're going to put the money down and you're serious about the house, you should go that route. But Javier, what happens if I sign this contract and I put the money down at signing and the house doesn't go through? Do I get it back?
So the truth is that it depends, and I suspect that it's gonna be different between Stephanie and Pedro because it depends on the markets and the language on the contracts.
Okay.
So here in New York, every buyer and seller has to have an attorney to represent them. So hypothetically, Jasmine applies for the mortgage, and we verify employment, and maybe her hours got cut, something changed, something in her qualifications changed, and she no longer qualifies. So the bank issues what's called a denial letter, and then it's up to the attorney, at least in New York, to use that denial letter as a tool to cancel the contract and try to recover the earnest deposit, which is pretty much the funds that you give the attorney when you sign the contract. I'm assuming Pedro works the same, but I'm assuming the realtors handle that in your state.
Realtors, every time, like. And the process, you have time for everything. You have due diligence for loan, due diligence for appraisal, okay, due diligence for buy the house, for make any repair. Well, that's the first one. The second one is appraisal due diligence. Appraisal due diligence is a time when you send the appraisal. Javier send the appraisal to the house. Let's see the house. We offer $500,000 in the house coming in 400 the appraisal. It's coming 100,000 under the value. If you pass those days, the diligence from appraisal, you can negotiate the price. You have to bring 100K from your pocket to the table.
Damn, Pedro, I love you and you my brother, but you jumped a little bit ahead. But okay, we're in the appraisal already. But so Pedro, this is something. So when I went over asking on my house, when you go over asking, if the house is appraised, let's say Jasmine had 550 for the house in Georgia, but Pedro gets it appraised, the lender, I'm sorry, gets it appraised, and the house comes back at 520. Ooh. That 30K difference is coming out of Abuelita's check. So you gotta.
If they negotiated that, like, right. I mean, that's something you talk about at the beginning. Like, are you bad? Right. Because not everyone has that money to come up with. So the agent on the other side will be like, do they have the funds to cover it? And if they don't, then they probably won't go with that deal. If they don't have the funds to cover that, right? Have they like?
Yeah. So I mean, it's actually crazy to think how different the market was just a month or two ago, honestly. Because if we were having this conversation last month and you told me you had nothing towards appraisal gap, I would have said, save some money because you're not getting a house right now.
Right.
Everything is circumstantial. It really depends on what's going on in the market and where. But yeah, it's something that has to be negotiated up front in the terms, and it's going to make its way into the contract, right? The contract's going to really say, hey, this is what everyone agreed on. If there's an appraisal gap of whatever, the buyer's going to cover X amount or the entire thing, whatever was negotiated up front is going to be in the contract, and that's what everyone's going to expect to follow through with.
Pedro, we're going to get to it. Go ahead, Jazz. Go ahead.
This sounds so backwards. Why don't they appraise it before they go selling the house?
So the thing is, the truth is that 2 months ago, right? Rick puts his house in the market, and Stephanie and Pedro, they did their due diligence. They figured out the value of the property, and they said, hey, this house is worth $600,000. They know the value. But what a buyer's willing to pay you or was willing to pay you is a different story. Because there's so many Jasmines out there looking for homes, you're going to say, hey, your $600,000 house, I'm going to offer you $650,000 because I really desperately want this house. There's nothing out there. I have extra cash. I want it. So even if we do the appraisal up front, which we kind of did because we determined the value, we know that appraisal is destined to come in short because we're overvalued at this point, right? Your $650,000 is over what the house is worth. So you just really couldn't avoid running into situations where you had appraisal gaps. Gotcha. Today, different story.
Pedro, you had your hand raised. What
Yeah, everything is about term. Okay, if I say they have after we get binding with the contract, I have 15 days to get my appraisal back to me. If the house coming in low value in those 15 days, I can't negotiate the price. I can't negotiate the price without money. We are problem. But see, we pass those 15 days. Let's say if the appraisal have it coming back to me, if the appraisal coming below, the offered price. Now different story because you have to find that money from your pocket. But due diligence protect the buyer all the time. Any agent has to work on the due diligence all the time because that's the communication between us and the bank. The bank, any house that you buy is collateral to the loan. Okay, the bank never going to give you $500,000 for the house. They only worth 400 because it has to be collateral to the loan. We're talking.
Got it. Makes sense.
So it was something we skipped, and I'm sorry. So if let's say Jasmine wants to live in Long Island, you have to find a realtor with years of experience and that knows the area, right?
Yes. 36 years.
If she wants to go to Georgia, you have to find a realtor that knows the market and has connections and knows people. I saw I'm going to say 15 to 20 houses. And every time we got to a house, Stephanie knew the seller's agent.
That's why I dropped her name so much.
She knew the seller's agent. And every time I would see the house, they would be showing it, the seller's agent's like, yes, this is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And I would be in the back with Stephanie, like, be real with me. Like, what's this worth? She knows the market. Pedro knows the market. Javier knows the market. So listen to your realtor. They're going to give you the advice. Stephanie's like, yeah, this house is this. And in a couple of years, it could be this, maybe.
So I would have to say it like it is because I don't want you to call me in 3 years and then you say, well, how come you didn't tell me then? So I like to be up front right away. You didn't tell them the part where I used to make you all dance up to the door when we waited online.
Yes. So she wanted to make an impact. So
Always.
It was me, my mother-in-law, and my wife. Sometimes I think Jonas went to a showing or something. Yeah. My wife was pregnant at the time, and she would make us dance. Now, if there were steps, we had to dance the steps. If there was just a walk up, but your realtor will know the market. So due diligence, Pedro, I've said it a couple times already. Get a lender. So when we had our pre-approval, oh, we're going with this company. Oh, okay. So they know this is a lender that is a reputable lender. And then trust your realtor to tell you, that sounds about right. This price is about right. They'll tell you even from the listing price. Sometimes houses will be overlisted, like the price will be more than what it's worth because the market
Yeah.
was insane, or
Mhm.
like, oh, this house is under listed because they want competitive offers. So know your realtor. That's my point. I went to a long tangent here. I'm so sorry, but your realtor will tell you specifically what the area looks like as far as
Mhm.
value, what the offer could be, what they can give a gauge of what we're talking about the evaluation of the appraisal. I'm sorry, of the
Yeah.
house.
They're your expert.
Yeah. So they can gauge, like, what this might be appraised for. And the
Mhm.
bank is not gonna, once you tell them you're putting an offer, I'm pretty sure the bank does their due diligence on the property, the area, because they're not just gonna give a mortgage.
No, they're gonna check
Exactly.
that out.
Exactly. So
Banks never lose. Banks never lose.
They never
It's just the
lose.
truth. Banks never lose. They have everything in place to
Mhm.
assure that when they give you a loan, they've checked everything to make sure that you're able to repay that loan and that the house has the value behind it. All these things are in place for that purpose.
So Jasmine now has gotten the house appraised. I'm the lawyer on the call right now, so I'm going to pretend to be Rick Hero Esquire at this moment. So they accepted the offer. The house was inspected. You got the report back. You spoke to Pedro and you spoke to Stephanie. There was a few things that needed to be fixed as far as electrical. Big things, by the way. Let's point this out. Plumbing, electrical. I think Steph mentioned it. Plumbing. Pedro also. Plumbing, electric, the foundation of the house,
Termites.
termites. So those are four,
Roof is very
and
important.
the roof. I'm sorry, and the roof. Also, if there's solar, that's something you want to also ask about. Some
That's a
solar,
Right.
newer thing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, some solar panels are financed, some are leased. So
Mhm.
those are terms you need to also ask. Um, so where the hell was I going with this?
So
That I got the
all that stuff
appraisal.
checked out. They
That's
speaking to
all.
the attorney.
That's all checked out. Now it's time to sign these contracts.
Mhm.
Okay.
Abuelita has to, let's say you're gonna get, what's a good number, Pedro, Steph, to put down on a
20%. Let's say I
five?
put down 20%.
No, for signing.
Say 5%.
5%. Okay,
Yeah.
so she's putting down 5% on a $500,000.
Yeah, in Georgia we do 3% for
Really?
for new buyers, first time home buyers is 3%. If you are the state, we talking about 5% and 10%. But you have if you have your letter that you're going to live in Georgia, you only do 3% down, 3% costing close, and total you can have half the million house,
Mhm.
for less than 50 grand.
Pedro
Stephanie, I'm
also.
liking some of these Georgia
I
rules.
know.
Wow, that's
So
insane.
We have to
Pedro,
speak to some people up here and implement
It's
some of those
going.
things.
I spoke to Pedro on the phone the other day, and he was telling me if you're a first generation, so let's say Jasmine's Puerto Rican, but let's say she was Cuban, and she's a first generation
Yeah.
Cuban here, and she's buying a home. What is the rule in Georgia? I'm sorry.
No. That's something. My nuestra la compañía, the
Oh,
company, my boss,
your
Laura
company does.
Delgado.
Okay.
Yeah, Laura Delgado company. My broker. She right
Mhm.
now if you're the first generation, they buy a house. She tried to give you a grant to the second generation. Because most of the time, real estate people, more brokers, they make money. But right now, like it's not how much money you take sometimes, it's how much you give to the community. Because sometimes you win and give something back for the community too. And then right now we try
That's
to
awesome.
implement, like that. If you first generation buy a house, we can help, you son to a grant to go to school. Things
Mm,
like that
Got it. Okay,
that
that's
we're going
really
to implement in
nice.
the future. It's not Georgia rules, yeah,
okay.
but
No,
we
That,
can.
that we
well,
can't do that in New York because then everyone is a first
every,
generation home buyer.
Everyone's
I'm
first
telling you.
gen
Yeah,
over
that's what's gonna
here.
happen.
Like,
Can't do that
yeah.
right
So
now.
Pedro was explaining. I found that very interesting. Let's. Where were we again? Bring me back.
So the
Pedro.
attorney
gotta-
signing
you got-
contract.
The
Attorney.
attorney. I'm the
Attorney.
attorney. I'm the attorney. Okay. So Jazz is putting down 5%. She's coming to my office. She's signing 1,000 papers for the contract. While you're
Signing my
there,
life away.
because I'm gonna speak on. I'm not an attorney, but I know what goes on in that part. While you're there, your attorney's gonna draft the contract, and they're gonna go over the entire contract with you. It's a very long process. Sometimes they can add little things in the contract for you, to make sure you're protected. Because the attorney's job is to protect you as much as possible, you and your money. You're going to hand over that 5% check. They will put it in escrow. At least this is how it happens in New York. Pedro could tell me if that's how we do it in Georgia. They'll put it in escrow. You sign first, then the seller signs. And officially, the house is now under contract. Wow. Congratulations, Jasmine.
Woohoo.
found
What
your
is an
house.
escrow? I'm gonna need you to
Put-
explain that because there's people that don't know what that means. Who's holding the money?
That was so far the job.
So
Go ahead, Javier.
So pretty much, so when you meet an attorney, at least in New York, so you meet an attorney, you sign 4 copies of the contract. I think they still do that, right? I'm pretty sure that's how it is. So you sign 4 copies of the contract. You hand over your 5% in this situation deposit, and those contracts and check gets shipped out to the seller's attorney. The seller's attorney then meets with their client, signs contract, and that check gets deposited into the escrow account of the seller's attorney, and it stays there until you're closing.
The money you're putting down at signing goes towards
your down payment and or closing costs. Yeah, your overall cash needed. Yep.
Got it.
In Georgia, just only we have one attorney for both parties. Okay, it's just only one attorney.
Wow.
That's shady.
That's very shady.
That's mad shady.
Pedro,
You're not gonna be playing both sides of the fence in New York, baby. Okay?
No, because the attorney had to be impartial between 2 parties. You know what I mean?
Oh, so
the other party, the attorney is impartial.
This is interesting. Pedro, so
Interesting.
who picks the attorney in Georgia?
The seller.
Really?
That's not. That's
No.
not impartial.
Buyer pay the 3%.
That's still not impartial.
No, buyer. It's buyer. Buyer pay the attorney.
Oh no, but who picks? Who makes? Like, if I want it,
Who pick depend. It can be buyer or can be seller. Most of the time, the seller put disclosure in the property. If you made the offer, you have to put this attorney because this attorney going to the seller be represented. Or anyways,
Gotcha.
I can send in my attorney. We use O'Kelly or Soderham all the time. The best of the best, and they represent both sides. And if any problem they had,
this is very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Steph, I'm sure Steph and Javier have some questions. So go ahead.
I was curious to
Ask
know
away.
what does an attorney charge to do the
Yeah, I was asking the same. Actually.
It's going to be only 3% the value of the house. It's
3%
3% now.
Yeah. Wow.
Damn, they ain't making no money in Georgia.
No.
No.
That's a lot.
No,
That's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell the attorneys in New York. They're all going to move to Georgia and start doing real estate.
Time
down there.
out. What are
What
attorneys
are
making here?
I would say roughly 1,500 is
Yeah.
I would say is normal.
17.
That's the best at best.
Wow. That's
It's
crazy.
3% closing, 3% down payment. With 6%, you can have your dream house easily in Georgia.
I
Wow.
will say this:
You get a
closing
two-faced
costs down there
attorney.
are like a fraction of what we have up here.
Yes.
For sure.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not even at that point. So
Yeah.
So now Pedro and Steph have done most of their job.
Yep.
They got you to contract. You're in contract. So Javier, what does that mean for us and you? Because this is a lot of back and forth between us.
Yeah. So at this point, everyone is just like all the attention's on the bank really at that point. So at this point, we would update your pre-approval or your documents, right? I might have met you 2 months ago or 3 months ago when I first pre-approved you, and we have to get some documents updated, such as your pay stubs, bank statements, etc. And what happens is we grab that contract, we have all the terms in writing, and we then send you your application package. And it's yet even more paperwork that you have to sign. It's a bunch of different disclosures and all your information as far as employment and things of that nature is all on your application. That gets signed, and that allows us to then order the appraisal that we were speaking about before. And it also allows us to pretty much process and underwrite your loan.
Got
So
you.
for the sake of time, the house was appraised at $540 and the bid was $550. So she's fine at that point. She signs the. I'm gonna tell you right now, you signed a ton of papers a billion times over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
So what goes next? Because I'm very foggy at this point.
So we order the appraisal, we get the loan processed and underwritten, and a couple of weeks after you sign contracts, your loan is approved. And what that means is pretty much that the bank officially commits themselves to lending you this money based on these terms. And then they give you a list of what's called conditions. So they say, hey, listen, you have to go and purchase your homeowner's insurance. We need the title report, which we can cover later, and just other items that are necessary before you get to the closing table, pretty much.
Okay, so I'm going to run a small commercial break.
Sure.
And we're almost at the finish line, folks. You keep hearing this word closing, right? Like Mariano Rivera. You're going to find out what that is.
Oh, I like that.
And does that also mean more money out of your pocket? Stay tuned.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
So welcome back to the Rick H. Show. So we're almost there at this house, man. In Georgia, we have a 6-bedroom pool. How many bathrooms you say to us, Pedro? A ton of bathrooms.
Basement, everything.
Everything. And then here in Smithtown, we got like a little shack, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath.
Bullet holes.
1.5 bath. Near the LI.
I can't hear you.
Scott, hello.
Oh, we can't hear you.
We lost Jasmine too.
Maybe when he gets on, let's just like talk like this, so he thinks that we're muted too. Would that be funny?
Exactly. Let's just make up something.
Let's do it with sign language. Let's see how that goes.
Like ventriloquist.
No, but all kidding aside, aren't some of those rules in Georgia cool for New York?
Oh, what are you saying? What rules? The rules?
So the whole thing with where home buyers only have to put 3%. Here in New York, you have to negotiate. You may have to do more just to get an offer accepted, things of that nature. They have like these predetermined rules where this is how it goes, and it just takes that away from having to negotiate.
Rick, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got something. I get correction because like the attorney here represent the loan. Okay, the attorney represent the bank.
Okay.
Yeah, and the attorney is like depend. 750 to 500 depended the firm. Yeah, me jalan la oreja.
Gotcha.
Poor Rick, we don't hear him.
Yeah, we can hear you, Rick.
Rick, it sounds really important what you're saying. I just can't hear you.
Yeah.
Rick, do you hear us? Do you want us to talk about what happens from this point forward to closing?
1 minute.
Pedro.
Yes.
I want to know, do I look familiar to you?
No, don't ask it that.
I watch you every week, so I thought maybe I looked familiar.
Really?
You remember me? I'm the girl on the TV,
Hey, Rick. Yeah, that's not working.
We can hear him.
Poor Rick. What happened to Jasmine? She had a date?
I think she had enough of this home buying process. And
She's
she's
like,
just like, I'm just going to go rent.
She's already on the way to see Pedro in Georgia.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I love that you're doing this, though. That makes it like really look really good. Nope.
Feel like the Brady Bunch. That's better. Now we can hear you.
Rick, I think you should have wore a Yankee hat. This would have never happened. Honestly, I gotta tell you, I've been holding that one in for a while.
Good thing it's the end of the show. He would have cut you off long ago. The beauty of computers. We all can just do an ending, like, call me for all your real estate needs. Pedro? Call Pedro for all your real estate needs.
Javier for loans.
Rick, is it okay if we just talk, explain all the way through closing? You want to call me?
Call somebody. I don't know who we call right now.
I'm gonna pretend like I'm on the phone.
Yo. Y'all don't know me, but I'm gonna introduce myself because my man Rick having technical difficulties. My name is Dr. G, and I'm a gangster, and I'm trying to buy a crib. For the family. I got some questions, and can I buy a crib with straight cash?
Sure.
Definitely could.
Is anybody gonna ask any questions?
No. It was the money in a suitcase.
In a silver suitcase.
I believe the man is not very good looking right now.
You do have. If you are to buy a house with cash, you will have to show proof of funds where the money is, and not just. I actually had a client who said she had cash to buy a house, and I said, "That's great. We'll need proof of funds." She said, "It's in a suitcase." I said, "I thought she was kidding, but she wasn't."
You had that, really?
Yeah, really did.
She was a gangster. You want to give me her number?
She was taking money from her husband.
I think Rick is back.
Rick, welcome back.
Rick?
Damn, it ain't working, my boy. It ain't working.
He's gone.
Figure that out.
Try the Yankee hat thing I told
you. Rick all about the Mets. I keep telling him, nah, it's about the Yankees. You right here.
I'm just saying,
so I'm a psychologist, I'm a therapist, and I gave up my gangster ways. So I actually give advice now, believe it or not. I'm reformed. So do you guys have any advice? Any things that you need advice on?
How to fix Rick's mic.
The Yankee hat, Rick.
It works.
Oh,
Rick,
there
back.
you go.
You back.
It works.
If it stops working, really do the Yankee hat thing. I'm telling you.
It works now.
That was stressful.
You missed. They told me I could buy a house in cash, but I got to prove where it came from.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. G is in the building. So let's hear it for my man, Dr. G.
Thank you.
The views and expressed that are about to be asked by Dr. G are not of those of the Rick H Show, Rick H, or Jasmine Ruiz. So without further ado.
I'm my own person. Word up.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. G.
Well, I asked a little question. I just let them know I give advice.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do they need any advice? Y'all got any woes? Y'all got any problems?
Okay, so let's start with let me quarterback this thing right here, Javier. So Dr. G is sort of a therapist.
I am,
and he is. I'm sorry. Do you have any advice for or question you've always wondered or wanted to ask, or you ever been on the couch? You can ask Dr. G now. Dr. G is going to give you a good answer. Something's probably help your business, actually.
Yeah, I know a lot about business.
I would love to know how to deal with tough personalities. Some of these clients you get are tough. Some of these New Yorkers are real tough. I got to tell you.
That's a good
You
question.
got to look them dead in the eye and say nothing. Just let them know, or eye contact, that I ain't messing around. Trying
That's
to
how
get
it
this
is.
house or not. Because if you want me to approve you, you got to come correct. And you got to let them know. You got to talk to them in their language. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so be straightforward and transparent, and just all right. Good. That's great advice, I think.
Yep. And don't be soft. Can't be
Don't
soft.
be soft. You can't be
Don't
soft.
be soft.
That's
We don't
number
like
one
soft
advice.
people. Yeah, number one.
Okay, Pedro, come on. You gotta have a. Come on, Pedro's got a ton. So, all right, I'll ask one for Pedro. Right, Pedro. We all know Pedro's a reality star. People love him, but he's a real estate agent now. How does he get people to separate television Pedro, from real estate Pedro?
Ignore the fact that you famous.
Okay.
Exactly.
Somebody trying to talk to you, take a picture with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I'm a regular dude. You want to buy a house? You hit me up. Other than that, keep it moving. That's it.
Okay.
You ignore it, they're gonna ignore it. They're gonna be like, damn, he regular. He not feeding into the clout. And they're gonna feel dumb. Boom, you got your peace, your sanity back.
So, Dr. G, do you have to confess to Pedro that you're a fan of his? Would you like to do that now?
You know, I'm a gangster. That wouldn't be real gangster in me.
Okay.
But shout out to you, Pedro. It's lit. You lit.
You lick.
Lit.
And finally, one of my favorite people to, just because the banter is so amazing. Steph, do you have? I'm sure Steph has tons of questions for Dr. G. We might have to do an episode with just Steph and Dr. G, but go ahead, Steph.
I was hoping you had a question on my behalf, since you know.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping you to bring it on.
So if this is, I'm Stephanie Kalanoff, I'm asking Dr. G this question right now. If I'm super charismatic and I know I have a future in other ventures like comedy shows, but I've been in real estate so much, like I know that's like, I do it in my sleep. What should I do? How should I merge those two things together?
You should make fun of all the people you come across in real estate on stage. You telling me you don't got no characters trying to buy a house, but they come looking crazy? Or they come with $2 looking for the $1 million mansion? Come on. That's top-notch comedy right there. Also, the American dream, baby. Everybody want a house. You got stuff to say.
Steph, I can send you some material if you like.
Wow.
I'm gonna write
that story about the briefcase. That right there, yo, you can make that into a whole skit. You said, girl, where'd she get that money? She bitch an assassin? What's going on?
When's it from her husband?
From her husband? Is he dying? Is he dying soon? What's going on? What's going on there? You know what I'm saying? You got content.
Okay. Is there something you want to say to each one of our guests before you go, Dr. G? And thank you for being on the show again one more time. Is there something you would like to, a piece of advice you would like to give them for free?
Ooh, for free.
I know you don't do free.
I don't do free. I know about my money. You know, I got money, bling, bling. All right, piece of advice for all of y'all. Steph, keep doing your thing and get on that stage. Pedro, keep selling them houses, because that's going to make you more money than reality TV. Don't tell nobody I said that, but I know it though. All right? Javier, you lending money. Just make sure people know you're not personally lending money, you know? You don't want nobody knocking on your door talking about, yo, I heard you lending out money. Nah, son, nah.
That's funny.
Appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. G, the one and only. Thank you for being on the show.
For teaching us all this stuff. Thanks for having me, Rick.
Wow.
I love her.
How'd you guys? Him.
You can't say anymore.
Yeah, Dr. G's fantastic. So we're at the point where let's get back to buying this house.
Yeah.
We're at the point where we're at contract. The loan was accepted. It was approved. She went to Wells Fargo not Wells Fargo. I'm sorry, State Farm or Geico, whatever home insured. Went to the house. There was nothing wrong with the house. But that's another step you have to go through.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we can't insure this house. I'm sorry. She got her insurance done. What's next, Javier?
So like you said, loan got approved. All your conditions, including the title and the homeowner's insurance, got submitted. Underwriter takes another peek at those things, and they give you what's called a clear to close. That's like
CPC,
music to
Papa.
Pedro and Stephanie's ears.
What was that, Pedro?
CTC.
The CTC, yeah, that's what makes them dance. Love CTC.
We love CTC.
So, the loan gets clear to close, and that's pretty much a green light to schedule closing. Here in New York, that pretty much entails the buyer's attorney and seller's attorney setting a day and time to get together and have their buyers and sellers on the table and settle up closing.
Okay, so we're at closing now.
Okay.
Who's at that table? Give me the characters.
So at the table, you will find the buyer, their attorney, the seller, and their attorney. You will have a representative from the title company, and then you'll also have the bank attorney present. So the bank also has an attorney who represents them at the closing. They'll give you a stack of paperwork that has to get signed. Buyer attorney and seller's attorney settle out, balance out the money. Checks are exchanged, and ultimately keys are handed over to the buyer, hopefully.
Okay, so I'm at closing. We hear this word closing costs.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So closing costs, I always tell people it's a lot of line items involved in closing costs. But I always tell people is three things really. It's you have what's called bank related fees. So what am I charging you? What's the bank charging you? What are their fees like? You have title related fees. So the title company that your attorney elect, they pick up taxes in behalf of the county. They pick up sometimes escrows if it has to get paid right away. And then there's a bunch of different fees, including their title insurance. And then the third item would be escrows and prepaid. So in your payment, hopefully you will have your taxes and insurance included there. And the bank picks up several months, depending on when those bills are due. They'll pick up several months worth of taxes and insurance. And the idea is so that after closing, you're making this one monthly payment, and they have enough money from all of that to cover those taxes and renew your insurance every year as they go along, pretty much.
So, if Pedro's my realtor, will Pedro be at my closing?
Of course.
Steph, will you be there for me?
Actually, with COVID, we did not go for
No, I know. Our table was very short.
Yeah, I mean, they really didn't want anyone around if they didn't have to be. So now they're allowing the realtors to come to a closing. For me, I feel the most important part is do a final walkthrough with that client.
Oh my God, I missed.
You forgot the final walkthrough.
Mine was the day of closing. So, what's a final walkthrough, Pedro and Steph?
Pedro, you wanna?
Yeah, I had little that happened to me like a couple of days ago. Like the final walkthrough is like it's like the final walk to see a property before we close, before the signing of the paperwork. Is it something maybe you see the house like a month to a month. It's a lot of time has passed. Like it's been a lot of time. And then you want to see that everything is good with the house. The house is there. It's not any damages or any any problem. A tree having fall to the house or whatever. It's any pipe broken, because I had experience. I had about a one experience the other day. Like we closing the house, we do the final walkthrough like week before, because the closing was move. The closing will move, and they were closing will move to another week. Like we closed the house. Yeah.
Wait, did I lose Pedro for talking? That's
Pedro, having a glitch right now.
I have two Pedros now.
Oh,
hey.
Hey.
Well, there we go.
There we go. We lost Pedro for a second.
Yeah, and then I got my experience about, because we do the final walkthrough, and then the close have extended to another week, and then when we saw the house, we do the first one, but we never go against the house because everything was fine. And the next day that we closed the house, my client called me and said, the pipe was broken in the house, and the water was coming out, from the top to the garage. All the garage was like messed up. And then
Oh,
like a rookie
That
mistake. I learned from my mistake because I do the final walkthrough a week before because the closet haven't been extended, and I not do it again. And the man, that was something.
I would say the way you did it the day of is ultimately the best way. Like literally on your way to the closing table, stop by the house and do your final walkthrough.
So, in my personal experience, so we went through that whole rigorous process, and then I get to see Steph again, and we went through the house, and we made sure that because you see the house is all, it could be staged. Stage is when they put furniture in there to give you an idea what the house could look like. We went through the house. We're like, yeah, this is the house we're buying. It's different at that point because it's empty completely. And you go through the main things that we talked about: electrical, plumbing, roof, bugs, and if I'm missing one, please tell me. And then you're like, oh, okay. You could say yes, no. Some walkthroughs go bad where you find things that have happened to the house that you didn't catch before or might not be on the report. At that point, what can I do, Steph or Pedro? Let's say we're doing a final walkthrough at that day. The signing's at 2, the walkthrough's at 10 in the morning. And we find, let's say, some cracks or something wrong with the ceiling, which is a major thing during the final walkthrough. Before we go to closing, what are some things? What are options at that point?
If things have changed since your home inspection, like I know your in-laws had that circumstance where they bought the house and then they felt after when we came back to do the final walkthrough that they saw a crack that none of us saw originally. Even we even went back to the home inspection to see if it was noted and that we didn't bring it up during that time frame. So generally, if something has changed since the time that they saw it, they had the home inspection, and if there's a leak, if it's like something major, they generally will hold money in escrow and have it like fixed. Or if they left things behind, like the house has to be broom swept, where really there shouldn't be anything left in the house, but sometimes you go in and you see things that they didn't get rid of. So if you need to get a dumpster to clean out the house, they'll make adjustments for that. You take pictures, you show the attorney, you kind of work that out before you get to the closing, and you tell the attorney, oh, these things we're going to need to talk about. So they can hold some money in escrow and see, get it fixed when they move in. And that money, if they don't need to use all of it, then the rest money will come back to the seller.
So in best case scenario, we go through the walkthrough. Pedro's, beautiful 6-bedroom, 4 bathrooms, basement, cellar, pool house. Final walkthrough. Jazz didn't see anything, so it's fine. She goes to the closing table. Same thing in Smithtown. After, because closing, really, Javier gave you a small smidget of what actually happens there. It's a lot of paperwork signing. You might get lost in the shuffle because they give you the paper piece by piece, and you just turn into a robot and you just sign. Let's say in the scenario where Pedro was in, we get the keys and we go to the house and we notice something. Then,
after you close on it,
yes,
you asked out.
In New York, how would that work?
If we didn't address it beforehand and you walk in and something happens, it's on you, basically. Really.
Damn. No escrow money.
No, then you kind of
out your pocket.
I've had people call me 9 months after they moved into the house and said the roof is leaking now.
Yeah.
Well, like It is what it is at that
Oh
point.
my God, I saw one of these on TikTok. She called it like the house from hell.
Oh,
Like she just bought the house. Everything went wrong within that first year. It ended up costing her like $40,000 or something.
Which is why that inspection up front is so important.
That's why you pay
And
for
a
that. How much
reputable-
is an inspection?
Say that
What
again.
how much is an inspection?
How good of an inspection you want done on your house?
The top notch inspection. How much am I paying? Top notch.
It could be anywhere from $500 to $800.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nothing. I thought it was
And
gonna be a few $1,000s.
You're
Okay.
just
You know what? You would
Under.
think that buyers feel that way, and $800 when you're buying a $500,000 house really isn't.
Yeah, like come on,
in the
that's
grand
a
scheme of things
penny.
is nothing, but these buyers sometimes make a big deal out of it, and they
Yeah,
settle.
because well, let me speak for my buyers right now. I'm gonna represent the buyers
Sure.
for a second. It's $500,000 house, but you're at the point where you're like, man, you know where every cent is going, and you have like
Yeah.
a insane budget in mind.
Mhm.
So wherever you can get a break, you kind of take it at that
Got
point.
you.
Yes
But
and no.
the inspection should not be one of those things.
Right.
Exactly.
And
Right.
attorney,
That's the important part right there.
right. Don't get a cheap attorney. I'm not going to say that you did, but no, he might be.
I love my attorney. He was the best. He was the greatest.
He was.
Because he was the cheapest.
Final thing, there's just like buying a home, these people all know each other. So if you go to a lender but you don't have a realtor, ask that lender, is there someone in this area that you might recommend? If you don't like the person, you don't like the person, you don't have to go with them. But ask questions is something that people are afraid to do in this day and age. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. You're making a big investment.
That's a big thing right there.
Luckily, I got my pre-approval with my wife, and I got a referral. So in my family, this lady, I don't know where you see her. I think she's in the middle now. She sold a few houses. She's helped us acquire a couple houses. So word of mouth is a big thing. Referrals are a big thing, and also look at the experience of the person, how well they know the market, and how well they know their area. So those are my from a buyer's point of view.
Got you.
Mm-hmm. I want to thank Stephanie Kalanoff, Javier Meneses, and Pedro Jimeno Jr. For being on the show today. If you guys want us to do a part 2, email me, DM me, let me know. There's a ton of stuff we did not cover. We just gave you an overview picture. A lot of things could go wrong. We gave you best case scenario type of situation. If you want to speak to Javier, Steph, or Pedro, if you're in the Georgia area, you can email me and send me a direct message. I'm in the market to buy a house. I saw Steph knows Long Island very well. Javier's in Long Island. Let me know. I will get you in contact with them. If you want to follow Stephanie Kalanoff at Instagram, it's at Stephanie Kalanoff on Instagram.
That's right.
Pedro, what is your IG? Because it's at Pedro.
No, I had two different. One for the business.
No, the business one. That's
the business one. That's like, let me find this over here. It's like Pedro Jimeno Realtor.
Pedro Jimeno Realty. And Javier, I will give them your contact. Javier is the money man. You gotta get your way that way. Somebody's gotta plug you in to him.
For real.
So I want to thank you all for being on the show. I truly do appreciate it. I want to thank you guys. This was very informative. It's something that our community needs. When I was buying a home, thank God I have family members that purchased homes. I was able to pick their brains, but not everybody has that luxury. So thank you for your
thank you for having me
tonight.
Thank you. This was great, really.
Invite me in a week.
Thank you.
So Pedro, hopefully I get to see you soon.
Yeah.
Steph, you're always invited. Javier, you're familiar now, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I got you when stuff comes in. Jazz, anything you want to say before we go?
Thank you guys so much. I did not know any of this, so this was a huge help.
She's
So
lying.
I need to start saving some dollars.
Her fiance is in finance. She's lying.
He knows a lot more than me.
Yeah. All right.
But you know, he never bought a house either, so he don't know that much.
We'll see you all next week.
Thank
I'm on
you.
vacation, but Tuesday we'll be back with another episode. See you all next week.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.